Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Sustainable Advancements, Dr. Nanmitra and my team, Sana and Brinda, and myself, Akriti, extend a warm welcome to all our viewers and to our very special guest for today, Karuna Singh, for an interview on Sustainable Development Goal number 17, which focuses on the strength of global partnerships to achieve sustainable development. Now, without further ado, let me quickly introduce our guest, Karuna Singh, to our viewers. Karuna is currently the Regional Director, Asia, with Earth Day Network. Earth Day Network is a registered trust in India that is inspired by the ideals of Earth Day.org, a global environmental NGO that began with the first Earth Day in 1970, and today engages with over 50,000 organizations in some 190 countries to take the environmental movement forward. Karuna is a successful program leader of Earth programs in close to 25 countries and among approximately 5 billion people in Asia. With her expertise and long work experience, she has also been an honorable speaker at events like the 2015 UN Conference of Parties 21, or just like ASEAN Seminar held by the government of Myanmar at Nu Phai Du. Karuna is regularly featured in all media, print, social, and electronic. She's the author of several Earth Day Network ebooks that feature innovative case studies that lead to greener economies. She's also called upon to reach out to stakeholders to form partnerships and develop specially crafted programs and campaigns that are of particular relevance to not just a country, but a region as well. Last but not the least, she has also been on the steering committee for India of the Global Environment Facility, UNDP, and the Government of India Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change's Small Grant Program. She was invited by the Asia Pacific Network for Global Research Change, Japan, to provide expert advice to develop a South Asian hub for collaborative research and capacity building towards climate preparedness and change management. Well, I can go on and on and on about Karuna, but we welcome you, ma'am, once again, and we hope we can learn to look at the global partnerships and their implementation from your lens today. So thank you so much for being here. And and I would now like to invite my team, Sana and Brinda, to commence with the interview. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akriti. So starting with the interview, ma'am, my first question for you is, strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development is the mission statement for SDG 17. Can you tell us what precisely this means and what are different targets under it?
Thank you so much, Sana, and thank you all for inviting me to be here. According to me, this is the most important SDG goal, because I hate to remind you, but this January, the doomsday clock, which was set by Einstein, which marks anthropogenic activities that lead to the destruction of humanity, has now reached 100 seconds to catastrophe. And a lot of this is due to the climate change that our anthropogenic activities are creating. And if you still doubt that, that clock seconds have been set by discussions with over a dozen Nobel laureates and other experts. And if you doubt that, then think of the IPCC report that has come out in August. And I'll just say that the UN Secretary General called it Code Red for Humanity. So I think that while every act counts, we also need to be together to fight this malaise. Otherwise, we are not going to be able to keep Earth back from that tipping point. So that is why I think that this partnership goal is very important. SDG 17 is about partnerships for achieving all the goals, not one, but all of them. It is about collaborations that are inclusive and collective action for our one home, which we call Earth. I think that what is very, very important with this SDG is it makes us realize that much as we would like to live in silos, we cannot do it anymore. We have to visualize our planet as one home. And I think communications and transportations has narrowed down, has brought together people. In my grandparents' time, maybe beyond the village, they never thought. But now we are traveling. We are looking at other countries. We are seeing what's happening in Greenland. So we have to be real. We have to be one. And SDG 17 is what brings that oneness to us. One humanity, one planet, one home. I think that is what it really focuses on. So the goal has several targets, 19 to be specific, and these are planned to be achieved by 2030. These targets are clustered under 5 categories: finance, technology, capacity building, trade, and systemic issues. And the main focus or the main mantra, I would say, of this SDG goal is to share. So whether it is resource sharing from the developed countries to the lesser developed ones, or whether it is knowledge and technology sharing. So we have to share. You can no longer isolate yourself and stay, because if you look at the world, you can't hold the environment. Can you hold the dirty air in one place? It's going to travel. Can you hold the polluted waters in one place? No, it's going to travel. So for the benefit of all, we all have to come together and we all have to work for our benefit, for our selfish reasons, not for somebody else, but for our own good.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving a brief idea to our audience about SDG 17. So my next question for you is, SDG 17 has helped other sustainable goals to achieve their targets. Can you share some examples with us?
Yes, it is. SDG 17 is a very binding SDG because it is to achieve all the sustainable development goals, such as ending poverty, tackling climate action, getting rid of inequalities, or you name any other of them. It is important that governments, business houses, NGOs, academics, youth, women, all come together, because without that, it's not going to work. I firmly believe in the fact that countries may have excellent policies, but unless you translate these and explain these to people on the grassroots level, nothing is going to work. They have to understand that it is for their benefit that those policies are there. Because let me give you an example. We had gone to Madhya Pradesh and we were talking to villagers in a small village over there. And we asked them that, do you know about pollution? Do you realize that the pollution coming out of your son's motorcycle is there? They said, no, 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 that is not pollution. Pollution is what comes out of factories. Then we asked them that, what are you going to do about this? They said, hum kya karega? Ye to government hi karega na? So, you know, those sort of thought processes have to be broken. And this can only be broken if you go down to the grassroots level and explain it to the people over there. So that, I think, is what SDG 17 does. It is opening the gate for everyone to come together for this.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering all the questions so patiently. Now I would like to call upon my colleague Brinda to ask the further questions.
Thank you, Sana. So, ma'am, while answering the first question, you mentioned this particularly, quote that stayed with me: "One humanity, one planet, one home." And I'd like to take this in context with how do you see and how do you recognize that India, that our one home, is responding towards this goal, that is SDG 17?
So India is a part of so many international multi-country initiatives. It's a part of BRICS, it's part of SAARC, It's a part of so many of them. But I would particularly like to mention one initiative that was brought together by India, and which was released and at the 2015 COP that took place in Paris. And this is the International Solar Alliance. This is an alliance of countries that are within the tropics, and these are known as sunshine countries. So India has taken the lead in this, and India says that, why should we not make use of the solar energy that is freely there with us? That is an advantage to us, and which will help us reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, such as coal, and such as, even I don't know about Singapore, but here in India, we still have villagers who burn firewood, and that releases so many of these fossil fuels. That is bad for everybody. So this year, the importance of that group, I would say, is that even the US, which is not within the tropics, has asked to be a member of this. So we were doing a lot. Can't fault the government at all. Policies are there. It's only a question of time. There was a World Bank president who said that this generation is the first and the last generation. It's the first generation to face the ills of climate change and the last generation that can do anything about it. So a lot of responsibility on your young shoulders to take this forward very strongly.
Yes, thank you for that. That was it was quite interesting to know that, kind of US also wanted to be a part of this initiative that has been led by India majorly. And speaking of, you said the youth must take charge and must, take action. Would you be able to tell our audience about the Earth Day network and its initiatives, and how, particularly speaking, it has leveraged on SDG 17?
So partnership is the core of everything we do. We were born on Earth Day, 1970, and it was realized that we have to work together. So it's not that we have offices in 190 countries, but we work in 190 countries. We partner, we synergize with over 50,000 organizations, because we firmly believe in the fact that that is the most sustainable way of working. Now, if we were to set up an office, say, in Singapore, then it would, mean that we go there, we have another person. Why not work with people who are already doing it? So that is absolutely our, what is our synergy. We believe in synergy. That is exactly what we do. We work even in India. We work with in all the states, but we have people on the ground who match our vision and who are willing to do it. Look at India. India is a country with so many multiple languages, right? Now, if we were to say, go to Kerala and start working, first of all, we'd have to learn the language if we want to reach the people. So isn't that such a waste of resources? Instead, let us work with somebody in Kerala who's already doing that. So that is SDG 17 is our philosophy. That is how we work. That is how we operate. Let me tell you about something that might be of interest to you. Last year, we launched a platform for youth. This is called My Future, My Voice. And we have already got youth from over 85 countries to come together. These are all environmental leaders like you, to take the movement forward. So what we have done is, it's so amazing, because we have people from countries that might not be as friendly with each other politically, but environmentally they realize that political borders do not stop the environment. So we have people from India and Pakistan. We have people from Jordan and Israel. Everyone is working together. for because I think you youth are clearer in your vision. You're not muddled by all the different, burdens that we had. You realize that it is one world. You see it clearer than we saw it. We saw it in small places. This is my home. This is Calcutta. This is West Bengal. This is India. This is Asia. But that is not true. We are earthlings first. We are citizens of earth first, and then we can be citizens of anything else. And I really hats off to you youth, because you understand that. You also understand the urgency that something has to be done. So we are so proud of all these youth that we have. We have close to 200 youth who are part of this. We call them our ambassadors. And they exchange ideas that have already been successful, or they even exchange those things that could lead you to a pitfall. Because why go into that? If you know that if I go this way, I'm going to, fall into a morass, why do that? So it has been so wonderful having this platform. And I will send you more details about it. And I will let you know who's there in Singapore, who's there in Germany. In India, of course, we have lots. So you could network with them to take things forward.
Definitely, ma'am. That would be really, really helpful as well on everyone's end. And as you said, time is of the essence here. That's why we mustn't waste time in, setting up an entire chapter, working with people who are already putting in those efforts and combining like everyone's perspectives is something that's really crucial, especially regarding the climate crisis. You mentioned that at Earth Day Network, partnership is the core of everything that you do over there. Would you be able to let us know what one should look out for while creating partnerships, be it academic, be it professional, interpersonal, just partnerships as a whole? What is something that one must look out for?
Okay, let me just say that when you're looking for a partner, you have to put yourself in their shoes and see what is the benefit to them of being a partner with you. So it is always has to be a win-win partnership. Otherwise, it is never a one-sided one. So sometimes they don't see the benefits to them. So you have to be smart enough to go to their position, stand in their shoes, and see what benefits they could get from this partnership. So that is the first thing to do. Second thing to do is you have to be very clear of your objectives. You can't be a partner with everybody. So you have to, rule out those who you can't go into partnership with. For instance, we will not go into partnership with coal producing companies or oil, producing ones or liquor ones, so that is what our philosophy is. We will not do that. So again, coming back to it, you have to go back to the fact that, it has to be advantageous to your partner also. You cannot be the only beneficiary. Second is you have to see what are the talents or advantages that you bring and what could they bring. It could be maybe a company that has the money but doesn't have the outreach. So, you have to sort that out and you say that, okay, we are an NGO, we don't have the money, we don't have the finances. That is how we will benefit, and you will benefit because your name as a green enterprise will go wider. Okay, so that is the first thing to do. Second thing to do is to do a little background check. Unfortunately, a lot of things on the net are not as reliable as they should be. People tend to put on things, it's called greenwashing. They, just write about things, but they may not be true. So don't fall into that. Do a background check, see who their partners are. I found that very useful. When I'm looking at a prospective partnership, I look at who have been their partners in the past. And, a lot of UN organizations and all, if they have been partners with them or other organizations, then you can understand that, they have been background checked already. Otherwise, you should do that. You should, have a look at it, because the world has become very selfish in different ways. So that is an important thing to do. You have to look into that. Otherwise, see what your priorities are. Like in some cases, our priorities are that we will reach out to women-led organizations. Then you see which are the women-led organizations, you talk to them, get a feel for what they do, get a feel for who their trustees are, who their founders are. Is it a fly-by-night organization that has just come up, out of the blue, might have a very fancy website, which, anyone can do, but actually don't do much work. So, and then keep your fingers crossed, that you go into a good partnership. You must have a basic MOU where everything is clearly set out, so that people don't say, but we thought you were going to give us this, or no, we can't give you this. We never discussed that. So everything should be clearly set out, that this is what we will give, this is what you will give, these are the timelines that we will follow. Then I think partnerships are excellent. Have any of you, let me ask you, have any of you worked with partners?
Personally speaking, no, I have not really worked with partners. But I don't know about Akriti, Sana.
No. So I would encourage you to do that. Like Sana was telling me about the Chiku festival they have in their village. So maybe she could tie up with, for ecotourism. That could be one way of women or youth in your village earning money by doing that. I mean, I would have loved to go for the Chiku festival. I never knew about it. But now that she's told me about it, I would like to go. So other states are doing it. Orissa, we do, recognize villages, as I told you. Every month, a village that is doing something. And Orissa government has helped a village go into ecotourism. In Maharashtra also, there are mangrove areas where women have started doing ecotourism there and earning from it. And let me just say that making money is not a bad thing. I mean, we don't live in caves. We have basic needs. So if you earn from something good, it's not bad at all. I don't think so. I don't think that, those times when we were all sadhu maharajas and went to live in caves, that is not my philosophy. I'm a Sikh by religion, and we believe that you live in this world, enjoy this world, but be good and do good things. So if you need to earn from good activities that also benefit the environment. I mean, and that is fantastic. There's so many examples of women doing good work. They're making these sal patta plates in West Bengal, which are replacements for, plastic ones. In Chhattisgarh, there are women who for the first time have gone into medicinal plants. Chhattisgarh has the richest biodiversity of medicinal plants. And by tradition, they all had these, doctors, Veds over there, but that was kept to men. Now women have gone into that, and they are producing the plants, they're learning about it, and they're earning from it. So there are a fantastic, there is another organization, Sana, in Maharashtra that makes maua laddus. Their men used to drink the maua earlier, but now they make nutritious laddus out of maua, and they sell that and earn from that. So we have every month, as I said, we do have, recognition given to women's groups like this, but it needs to be highlighted. It needs to become like a lighthouse that others can see, and it can be easily replicated. So here is where, networks count. Here is where communications count. here is where we need to quickly advance what is already being done, not something new, but what is already being done. So I would urge you to look at the Earth Day Network India Facebook page or our Instagram or Twitter, because we regularly put things up on it about what is happening here.
Thank you for that, ma'am. And what you spoke about partnerships, you must be clear of the objectives and prioritize that they also should be able to, get something of value from this partnership. I feel that is something like just starting out, a lot of people make that sort of a faux pas where they look out for themselves, which obviously isn't wrong, but putting yourself in another person's shoes is also really, really important. So that they may also want to, be 100% involved in the partnership. So thank you for answering my questions with so much patience and clarity. I would like to forward it to now Akriti to carry on with the rest of the interview.
Thanks, Brinda. All right. So my question to you, ma'am, is when we talk about climate preparedness and with you having so much of partnership experience and, you've implemented also programs within the area of collaborative research and in the South Asian region. So just to know how the South Asian region works and what was the biggest challenge for you which you came across in the South Asian region for implementation of partnership policies or partner-led programs?
So I think the greatest challenge was helping people understand at the grassroots level. So people tend to just say, oh, we have these excellent policies, we have a clean water policy, we have this policy, but unless you take it down to the grassroots level and make them understand that it is of benefit to them. It is not something that the government is forcing you to do, but it is of advantage to them. So that was the greatest challenge. And keeping this in mind, Earth Day Network is petitioning governments across the globe to make climate education mandatory, to provide climate literacy opportunities, and to help the children lead up to being stewards for the environment. So at the upcoming Conference of Parties in Glasgow, we will make this petition. We already have a number of signatories, a number of governments have also signed on to it. And we have to look at the practicality of it. For instance, India checks all the boxes. We have environmental education, our eco clubs that the government so beautifully runs could provide literacy. We do give them, we are a democracy, but does it happen or not? And keeping this in mind, years back, we brought together people, teachers, students, NGOs for roundtables to understand that why is it that India, which has all these compulsory things in it, climate literacy is not advancing at the rate it should be. And there are several reasons for that. I think what struck me the most was that one of the teachers stood up and said that we shouldn't go for how they learn, we teach, but how they learn. So there are differences in this. Children don't always go by the printed word. That is boring. And keeping this in mind, at the end of this month, we are bringing out an ebook, which we will place free on the internet, which is called Climate Literacy Beyond the Printed Word. So how can you use films? How can you use theater? How can you use nature walks? How can you use, every school has these different houses, house captain, this, that. How can you do that? How can you turn children into green environment monitors or GEMs, as we call them? So, youth has a fantastic capacity. And if you talk about South Asia, it has millions of youth in it. We are fortunate in that. So let us use that great resource we have. Let us educate them, if I might use that word, in a way that they understand what they need to do and why they need to do it. So I think that this is so very important that climate education literacy be mandated in every school all across the globe. We did an analysis of the NDCs of all countries in Asia, and unfortunately none were focusing on climate education. So this is something we want to do. We want to reach out to teachers and to show them, because climate literacy should be a part of every subject, whether it is history, literature, mathematics, everything can lead to it. But they just have to be tweaked a little bit into their subject.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for elaborating on that. And it was one of my vision, I think 6 months back, while I started a fellowship with one of the organizations, and I needed to create an impact project. And because sustainable development goals are so close to my heart, that was the first thing I asked, have a couple of educators in the family. And I asked them, hey, how can I, start a SDG curriculum at school? Because you pointed out it very correctly, starting early is the key. And we do have this power in South Asian regions in the world, because if you talk about even Japan now, or if you talk about US, Germany, they have such reversed age pyramids. I mean, the children who are born today maybe would have a generation like ours, but apart from that, we have 50-year-old people, or we have people who are so young that they're unable to actually do something about the problem. All right. So now I'd wrap up the interview, but before that, I would love to hear any one impactful message from you, and not just as somebody who, is working in an organization, but also as a very, very, very engaged and responsible citizen, which you actually come across, and you've also, shared some experiences with us here. Any one impactful message for our audiences, which they could take home after they watch this interview, would be great.
Let me just say that every act counts. So even if you get your plumber to fix your leaky tap, it is going to make a difference. Don't think it won't. So when I say that every act counts, I look upon millions of people doing green acts, and the impact of millions of people who choose to make changes in their personal lifestyles for the greater good of the environment is going to be fantastic. So everyone, please do something. You are very important. You're as important as the president of any country. Please do something for the environment. And let me just say, it is for your own good. Let's not think that I'm doing something for somebody else's good. It is for your own good, because neither the air above us nor the waters in the oceans can be held. So whatever, impacts you created, and if these are negative, they're going to come back to you. You cannot live in a silo any longer. So that is my message to everybody, that you are as important as anybody else in the world.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And we truly, all of us, I think, resonate with that every act is counting. And thank you so much for your time. I would like to conclude by highlighting some of the key takeaways for us. And one of them is the power of synergy and power of youth, which you have commented on. And that perfectly fits to the indicators and to the goal itself, goal number 17, that we need to start believing in the power of synergy and acting with the power of synergy, because we are no longer, fixed in our rooms, or, our boundaries are now gone, because we don't have that chance now anymore to sit in our boundaries. We don't have that luxury also anymore. The second thing which I loved, which came from you, was the shift. And the shift, talking about the mindset shift. A lot of interviewers have also questioned this, how to take the shift, what is the shift? But you've actually pointed out it to very, very basic level, and that is going to the grassroots level to make people understand. And that's what a lot of us don't realize. We all think, oh, you know what, climate literacy to hai. We need to act now. We need to maybe do some measure or come up with an eco club or whatever. But I think it's important that after this interview, we reflect and go back to step number one and say, hey, did we actually try to hit the grassroots level to make people understand that it's actually the pollution from a motorbike, or it's the pollution from the coal stove which you're using at home, and not just talk about, you know, the conference in the first place. So that was awesome. Last but not the least, like you said, SDG 17 brings oneness to the humanity. And that oneness, if translated into each act of, climate action, or be it partnership action for climate preparedness or for the bigger good of the society, could have such chain reactions that we should believe in that as well. And coming together is the key, and we have to act as one. So yes, we hope that our viewers can actually think about this and also make necessary changes to their lifestyles and act together. That's what we take away from here.
Kriti, if I might just add before we
Yes.
off,
Sure.
you know, education is very important. So, you know, and that should be based on an understanding of the region. For instance, if we are teaching climate, warming, global warming, if we teach people in Orissa about the Himalayas melting, it really doesn't have a significance for them. So, but if, and the same way, if we go to Kashmir and tell them that the coastline is, the sea tides are rising, it has no meaning for them. So we have to relook at education and make sure that that is connected to the immediate environments of the person. And if I might add one more thing, I'm so pleased to see that we're now going back to appreciating our indigenous people and the natural traditions that we had. So we've gone from having chemicals in our soil to going back to traditional farming, for instance. So let us focus on those. Let us talk to our grandparents. Let us ask them how they did things, and let us give them the respect that we should have given. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Definitely. It's very, very, very welcoming what you just said. And I'm sure all of our youth are going to take some time out and ask whoever, grandparents, parents. I think you all have seen times where we were not there. And it's definitely something we are missing today. And that could be an asset to us to change the future. So very, very rightly pointed out. Thank you so much, ma'am.
It's a pleasure being with you, youngsters. Thank you very much. And all the best for taking this burden. Sorry about that. Thank you.
It's okay. And on this note, I'd like to thank you again, Karuna ma'am, to my team, Brinda and Sana, and to all our viewers for tuning in today. And keep tuning into our channel on YouTube for sustainable advancements to get more information on SDGs and more content on sustainable development goals, right? That's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone.